and welcome to Sewing with Emma, episode 6. Today we are focusing on Mavis from Hotel Transylvania. I know it is summertime, but I don't really do summer. My house doesn't really do summer at all. We're more fall people, and I was really itching to be a vampire or a ghost or a witch or something. So we decided on Mavis because it was a cute, easy costume, very beginner friendly if you didn't make the few mistakes that I made. So when I was starting with the costume, I just used a basic turtleneck pattern. I will link it below. I used the same pattern for the mesh shirt as I did for the overdress. And I didn't end up making the leggings like she wears because I sort of wanted to buy those separately. I don't have a ton of experience making anything that fits around feet. I know it could have been a fun new adventure, but I was pretty frustrated from the last project I'd done. So I just wanted to focus on doing something that I knew I could do that was easy. And then the project after that, which will be my next video, I focused on doing everything that I'd never done before. Is the hardest project I've done by far. So I can't wait to show you guys that. So when I started with this project, once I had picked out a pattern that I liked and that I knew I could alter and use however I wanted, I knew that I had to pick out fabric that was extremely stretchy. That's the most important thing because this character is animated and they don't tend to put zippers or anything of the sort, no closures in animated character clothes. And I sort of wanted to stick with that, and I was like, oh, it's no problem. We just use stretch fabric. We won't have to worry about zippers, buttons, hooks and eyes, anything. This is possible. This is possible. Many people have done it. However, make sure you pick stretchy enough fabric, and I will repeat that at least 17 times throughout this video. When I went to M&L Fabrics, the love of my life, I picked out just a plain black mesh. It was perfect, it's super stretchy, make sure it's a 4-way stretch easily. It was like a 16-way stretch, which isn't a thing, but it might as well have been. Once I picked that out, I knew I wanted a sort of soft, almost the texture of Georgette fabric. However, it's not sheer. And I knew I wanted something sort of like fuzzy almost. And so I was going through all the stretch fabrics and I found a lot that were something you'd use for workout clothes, which probably is what I should have ended up using. However, I ended up finding this nice 2-way stretch fabric that in the store I tested and went, it's stretchy enough, we'll be fine. We were not in fact fine. I can get this on my body, but it takes quite a few tears and it's very hard to pull off my head when I'm done. So I may remake the dress in future. Regardless, once I had my fabric all set, I started by cutting out my pattern as usual. You have to size it to you. I did the smallest size, which I tend to do because I feel like people don't always account for really small bust sizes in their patterns, which totally makes sense because not everyone has a super small bust. But I tend to lean on the smaller side, even if it isn't my exact waist or hip measurement. So I went with that. Mistake number 1. If I would have used a 4-way stretch fabric, it would have gone totally okay. And although it looks fine, it could have fit better. When I was done with that, I cut out the fabric for both of the items. So the actual pattern was just a pattern for a shirt. So I cut out the shirt. I've used this pattern now 3 times. I absolutely love it. I cut out the shirt with the mesh, and then I cut out the dress and I just extended it by a few inches and sort of curved it to fit my hips. Curve it however you want, don't curve it at all, but if you do want a dress, you're gonna have to cut it a little bit longer. So I just cut it a little bit past the hem, cut it out the bottom, everything was good. I was going to start on the mesh fabric first. So what I did is, we have very, very simple pieces for this one. It is the front, the back, the 2 sleeve pieces, and then if you feel so inclined, there's a hole in it, but it's a hole for your thumbs. It's a thumb hole piece. I sort of wish I would have made it one continuous piece and just made the thumb hole, but I sort of just followed the instructions of the pattern and it ended up working out. But since it's mesh, you can really notice that there's a cut. So what I would recommend is just making it one continuous piece, lining up the actual handhole piece and just cutting it out as a singular piece, then continuing on. When I was done with that, you have your 5 pieces, and then you lay the front and back pieces right sides together. Doesn't matter for mesh. Mesh is the same front and back, so it doesn't matter which sides you do. Sew them at the shoulders, and then you sew them at the sides. And then you have a cute little bodysuit, and you try it on and you go, oh, that fits me so well. Or you go, no, that doesn't fit me at all. It fit me perfectly. So I did that. Everything was great. Then I sewed up the sides of the sleeves right here. And then I attached the sleeves to the actual top. All of this took probably 2 hours. If I would have been experienced with the pattern before, which the second time I used this, well, the third time I used this pattern, I did it in like 30 minutes because I knew what I was doing. But I was just getting used to the feel of the pattern, making sure the fit was right, so I was trying on and off a lot, so it did take me around 2 hours. Then when it came down to that, I sewed the actual sleeve piece all the way together. I left about a I'm gonna say it's about 2 inches from the bottom. I left it open, and then 2 inches from the top, and then there was like a little edge for your thumb. If you wanted to, you could tack those areas down so that the flaps aren't coming out. Since it's mesh, I wasn't really worried about it. Mesh doesn't fray, and plus Mavis is a little goth emo, so I don't think she would mind too much. When I was done with that, I made sure to match up the actual side seams, and then I sewed it all around together. That was the entire shirt. I didn't do any hemming. I've used this pattern 4 times. I remade this shirt for my friend, but I made it how I would have made it if I had experience the first time. And I did use hems. If you're going to hem your garment, I recommend using a zigzag stitch, because if you don't, your fabric will not stretch. So you will not be able to pull over your head, you will not be able to pull it over your hands. When you are using the zigzag stitch, try to do the hem before you sew anything together, especially on the sleeves, because sewing around such a small area when hemming, for me at least, is a nightmare. I know some people are okay with it. I can't handle it. So what I do is I hem it, then I put it, matching the edges is a little bit harder, but if you're okay with zippers and such, this isn't something I would be worried about. When I was all done with that, I didn't serge any of the edges. I used zigzag stitches on everything. Make sure to switch your machine before you start anything at all. We're not using straight stitches on this project for anything. If you're using a straight stitch, you're not going to be able to fit it over your head, your arms. It's not going to stretch at all. You can use a back and forth straight stitch, so like a triple stitch, or you can use a zigzag. I prefer zigzag. It's faster and it stretches nicer. So make sure to switch that on your machine before you start. This is most important when you do the dress and you pick out the wrong fabric. It's especially important. When it came to the dress, the steps were almost exactly the same. We had the front piece, we had the back piece, we had the sleeve pieces, but then instead of the sleeve like extenders, we have a neck piece. I didn't make the mesh shirt a turtleneck because if you can tell, you cannot see it under. I could have if I wanted to be fancy, but like I said, I needed a break and I didn't feel like it. When I started working on this, you're gonna realize that you have a longer piece here, a longer piece in the back, and you're gonna have shorter. So what I did is I just cut out the entire sleeve and then I trimmed off the excess of what I didn't want, just like fitting it to myself. If you want, you can also make the sleeve a little bit wider, extend it by 2 inches so it's not hugging so close, because this is a very close fitting pattern. It's meant to hug you very nicely. When I first cut out these sleeves, because I messed up and had to redo them because I didn't use a zigzag stitch, I cut out using an extra 2 inches because it simply was too tight on me. I didn't like the way it looked with this. If it would have been alone, I wouldn't have minded it at all. So what you're gonna do, right sides together. This fabric, it is also the same on both sides. Your stretch black might not be, so make sure if it's not the same that you're doing right sides together. Right sides together, sewing the seams at the top, the shoulder seams right here, and then you sew down the sides, and then you flip it over, you try it on. If you like it, great, you can move on. At this point, we had no problems. Then I sewed the sleeves together, just the sides right here. No, that's not true. First I hemmed it because I didn't want to have to hem it later. Then I sewed the sleeves together. Then I sewed the sleeves into the dress. Then I tried the dress on again. We're still chilling, we're still vibing. It looks great. I'm not having any fit issues. I hem the bottom and then I zigzag stitch all of the seams inside because this fabric, while it doesn't fray a lot, it does fray a little, and I just wanted a really clean finish. That tends to be everything for me. I want a clean finish on everything except for mesh because it was my first time and I was really frustrated. Where the problem arose was when I was making the neck piece. I decided to do a proper turtleneck. I'm actually more of a mock turtleneck person just in general because I don't like having to fold over the turtleneck. But I was like, I'm going for authenticity, even though I'm pretty sure she has a mock turtleneck. I sewed the pieces together lengthwise, and then I actually sewed the part onto the neck. Then I folded it over, and I was like, this is so great. This looks exactly how I wanted it to. There were no wrinkles. I tried it on. I could not fit it over my head. Maybe I have a big head. I wouldn't be surprised. But this is where you really need 4-way stretch fabric. Make sure you pick stretchy enough fabric, and I will repeat that at least 17 times throughout this video. Because I've had my sisters help me with a lot of things when it comes to my outfits, but I really feel bad when they always have to like pull all of my clothes over my head, and I'm like, don't rip it, but also make sure you're using force because I need to get it on my body so I can take pictures. So we did. It did take 10 full minutes to get just a simple dress on, so I would really love to remake this dress because getting it on, it was annoying, but it was possible. I took my pictures in it, I thought I looked really cute, but then I went to take it off. I truly was afraid I was gonna be stuck in this outfit forever. I think I developed claustrophobia from this outfit
If you don't stand so close, you're making me claustrophobic.
What does claustrophobic mean?
It means he's afraid of Santa Claus.
No, it doesn't.
Ho, ho, ho!
Stop it, Patrick, you're scaring him!
So use stretch fabric, you guys, because I think it took me 20 minutes. My face was all red. I was like near tears because I was like, oh my God, what if I can never get this off? And my sisters were like, just cut it off. I'm not gonna cut it. I spent 4 hours on this dress, but I got it off. We're doing good. Also, don't wear deodorant when you try it on because I got deodorant stains all over the front. And if you do get deodorant stains all over the front, just rub the fabric together like this and it gets it off. I'm sure there's a more professional way to do that, but that's how I do it and it's always worked. And that's it. That's how you make a Mavis dress with a little bit of trauma on the side. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is just a smaller vlog. It's really for beginner sewers. If you're looking for a costume for Halloween, or if you're looking for something to wear in the summer, if you're not a summer person, then you can make this. If not, then I think you'll really like what my next project is because it's completely and utterly different and I'll probably talk about it for 3 hours. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're able. I really appreciate anyone who's watching, commenting, liking. Thank you so much. Bye.